In this lesson, we want to understand and be able to define atoms, elements, and compounds. So let us go on and look at the definition of an atom. So the smallest possible particle of matter that we can no longer break any further by chemical means is what we call an atom. Fine. Now let's look at what an element is. An element is only one kind of an atom. When we say an element is only one kind of an atom, in other words, we are also saying an element is a pure substance because it contains only one kind of an atom. Right. Before we go deeper into the lesson, we also need to understand what a molecule is. When elements chemically bond, they form molecules. So, molecules then become a group of atoms which are bonded together. Right. So, when one kind of atoms are bonded together, we have a molecule that is made up of pure elements. Right. But however, we then get when two different elements come together to form a molecule, then that is when we get a compound. So a compound then becomes a substance that is made up of molecules. The molecule of a compound is made up of more than one kind of an element. So a good example, let us look at carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is made up of carbon and oxygen. So the molecule of carbon dioxide is made up of carbon elements and oxygen elements. So carbon elements and oxygen elements come together to form the molecule of carbon dioxide. Therefore, carbon dioxide becomes a compound because it is made up, because its molecules are made up of more than one element. So when elements are different, when the molecule is made up of different elements, then we will have a compound. But let's talk about oxygen. Right. Oxygen is an element because it is pure. It is only one kind of an atom. So when we look at oxygen, in this case, these are two oxygen elements. So they form a molecule. But this molecule is only made up of one kind of an atom. Therefore, it becomes an element. There is a big difference. This is a compound because we have got carbon elements and oxygen elements. So this is a molecule. But this molecule is made up of two different elements. So there is more than one kind in this molecule. Then carbon dioxide becomes a compound. So this is how we basically define an atom, an element, and a compound. But in defining an element, an atom, and a compound, it is important for us to know what an element, a molecule is.